Hey there, Take Two family. It's Monday and a whole new week of shows here on your show, Take Two with Jerry and Debbie. It's where we take a fresh look at ourselves and the world around us. We're happy to be here. I'm Debbie Georgiani along with Jerry Usher and the whole Take Two show team. Rich is at the controls, Jeff Burson is monitoring social media, and Ryan is at the phones today. So we're excited. Great way to kick off the week, Jerry.
It is. It's a great way to kick off the week. We had a great week of shows last week, and Debbie said, we are glad to be here, and presumably you're glad to be there. And as she said, it's your show. You're the one who calls in. You send your texts, your social media comments, your emails, your website posts, and you take the topic and run with it. Here's the phone number first, and then we will let you know what we're going to be discussing here on the program, which again will be, I think, very impactful for all of us. 833 288 EWTN 833-288-3986. And Debbie, what are we going to be discussing today?
Do you avoid conflict in your homes, in your workplaces, at your school? Do you avoid conflict? Peace at any cost. That is your motto. You will just stuff it in, not want to create any arguments, not want to create any waves. You want to keep that so-called harmony by avoiding conflict. We want to talk about this. Please weigh in. I've got something to share that is very, very important today, and I don't believe there's any accident. I believe the good Lord allowed us to receive these messages, Jerry and I, because I should say these messages by email, right. Because I think it's confirmation that when we do these shows, Satan is not happy. He is not happy. So folks, please weigh in on this. 1-833-288-3986. Call in early. We don't like to leave anybody on the line. I just want to say I have my flameless St. Michael candle burning right now. Thank you, Tony from Texas, who sent this to us. I've got it burning right now. I said the St. Michael prayer this morning. I will say it again this evening. And there's a reason that I'm stating that, because there's something that's happening right now. I can feel it, and it's not good, Jerry.
Okay, there is the topic laid out by Debbie for you, talking about conflict and how to achieve and cultivate harmony in not just in our families or in the workplace or in the world in general, but even within ourselves. Let's face it, there can be internal conflicts. Are you at peace with your conscience? You know, choosing between two things should be easier if one of them is not a healthy choice, but sometimes we create conflict within ourselves because we have choices to make, and we make ones that maybe sometimes we know deep inside of us they're not the right choice. But also conflict can be, of course, it can be as high as international on the global stage, and certainly within families, who will make the decisions in the home, how to raise the kids, extended family issues. Obviously, conflicts come up when somebody dies and who's in the will and who's out. So, Debbie, conflict, unfortunately, is just a part of our lives. But
yep. Human nature.
Yeah, human nature. And I would just say, Debbie, I am one who tries to avoid at all costs. But
you do.
Thank you.
I confirm that.
Well, yeah, but would you also confirm there's a side of me that if I get pushed too far, or if I feel like I've been a doormat for too long, I can kind of rise up and get a little bit, my claws can come out.
You're justice oriented, and that's what I admire about you. You're justice oriented.
Oh, thank you.
You like to keep peace. You like to keep harmony. You kind of pick your battles, if you will, which I think is very mature of you, if I may say. I don't always do that. That's the typical, I always like to defer to my Italian Jersey way of being raised. But you're very good about that. You take your time, you pray about it, but you're justice oriented. And that's why we work so well together, because I am as well. But please call in. This is very important. 833-288-3986. Are you that person that avoids conflict? Okay, Jerry, I shared that there's something happening. I can feel it. I feel it so strongly. When we put this topic on the show calendar, we began receiving messages by email from families, from couples that are having problems in their marriages, communication issues, like you stated, Jerry, different ways of raising the children, some control issues, all sorts of things that are happening. We just received one that was very, very gut-wrenching last night, and my heart breaks for her that she wrote us this whole entire several paragraphs of how she's hurting in her marriage. But She's starting RCIA this fall, and I'm so proud of her. And you know who you are, who sent us the email. You are awesome. Stay in RCIA, absorb it, learn your faith, grow in your faith. But I just want to say something, Jerry. I feel strongly about this. Tell me what you think about this. In marriages, Satan will look for any crack in the foundation. Satan plays on our memories. And believe me, folks, our memories can be a blessing or a curse. If you recall, 20, 30 years of a marriage of things that have gone wrong, well, then guess what? It's going to go wrong in the present moment. You have to stay in the present moment. And the way to do that is to surround yourself with prayer together. Please, I am begging couples right now, say the St. Michael prayer in the morning together and say it at night before you go to bed together. Please. Satan is on. Man, he is working overtime. What do you think about that, Jerry?
I completely agree. And one of the assistant pastor at the parish where I went to Mass Saturday for the Vigil Mass, he made a real strong emphasis of how we need to be still. We need to be quiet. We need to hear, not only get to know ourselves, but to hear God's voice. And he talked about the bombardment of stimuli that we have. And Debbie, I bring this up because so many of the things that are around us are conflict-driven, conflict-oriented. Everything is a competition. All these reality shows are these vicious competitions, even the singing ones when it gets down to it. But when you look around the world, there is conflict everywhere we look. And if we continue just to absorb all of that, Debbie, then we can't have a settled spirit. We can't have peace within our souls, within our families. So I want to hear from people to know if you've managed to come to a place of harmony with yourself and in your family, you have ways of working out the inevitable conflicts that are going to come up. 833-288-3986.
Well said, Jerry. Well said. Here's the number, 833-288-EWTN. It's a great way to remember it. Put it on your refrigerator, folks, so you don't have to scramble to find it to get onto your very popular show. Please put it on the refrigerator, big and bold, 833-288-EWTN. You see how great it was that EWTN did that? It's so easy to remember. Jerry, got some exciting news, switching gears a little bit. We're very excited to announce that our Jerry and Debbie Book Club, Inspired by Faith, is starting October 1st. Please, folks, get your book now. We are featuring the first book is The Lamb's Supper by Dr. Scott Hahn. Great book. You can get it on EWTNRC.com. When we come back, we want to hear your takes on keeping peace at any cost.
The leading Catholic voices are on EWTN Radio.
Every single day, I get to help our listeners of the Sunrise Morning Show wake up, find out what's going on in the church and the world, and then walk with them as we all seek to grow in knowledge and love of Jesus Christ and the Catholic faith. I mean, how could it get any better?
The Sunrise Morning Show with Anna Mitchell and Matt Swaim. Tomorrow morning, 6 Eastern on EWTN Radio.
Here's today's quote from Mother Angelica's perpetual calendar. St. Paul, the same man who had a violent argument with Barnabas, said, "Love is patient. Love is kind." He got to that point growing one step at a time. Sometimes in a family, we don't give each other enough time to grow. You don't become a saint overnight. The growth is constant and often slow. Mother Spiral Bound Perpetual Calendar is available at EWTNRC.com.
Post your intentions on the prayer wall on Jerry and Debbie's website. To get there, just click on the bright yellow J&D logo at take2show.com. Jerry and Debbie personally reply to every prayer intention that's posted. Others will also offer you their prayer support. When there's something important you want prayers for, post it on the prayer wall on Jerry and Debbie's site. Visit take2show.com, click on the J&D logo today.
With Jerry and Debbie here on your EWTN Global Catholic Radio Network. I am Jerry Usher along with Debbie Georgiani and you, and talking about external messages and news and information and stimuli and so forth. If you want a sane and safe world newscast, tune into EWTN News Nightly. It's Monday through Friday at 9 p.m. Eastern Time. It is a newscast that I watch every night. I watch very little of the other news, but I love to watch EWTN News Nightly, knowing that we're going to get the same news, but it's going to be impartial, objective, and then there's always very good and inspiring Catholic angles to what's going on in the world. So News Nightly at 9 p.m. Eastern.
Can I tell you something that's very painful?
Ooh, yes, sure.
It's just very painful. When you get an eyelash in your eye, do you ever have that? It's just so painful. It's like a needle in your eye. Have you ever noticed that? I mean, have you ever felt that?
I did actually just about 5 days ago, yeah.
Isn't it painful?
Yeah, it's a real hassle.
Yeah, it's just weird. Anyway, just thought I'd share that. See how transparent we
All
are.
right, Debbie needs prayers for the eyelash in her eye, everybody.
Oh, I got it out. Don't worry.
Oh, okay.
I wouldn't be able to see my notes.
Okay.
Okay, you wanted to comment about Cheryl's call on Friday about her beautiful son that passed away, David Andrew, and then we received from the Take Two family a wonderful email. Just goes to show how tight we are as a family, and that's another thing that Satan doesn't like. He doesn't like that we're a family. So let's keep being a family. Okay, go ahead, Jerry.
Well, on Friday we had kind of the second time around a show on overcoming adversity, and that was suggested by one of our pilgrims on our M&M pilgrimage. Carol suggested we revisit the issue of overcoming adversity, and dear Cheryl called in, and one of the things that she and her family have faced is the loss of their son, who I believe, if I did the math right, was 12 years old when he passed away, and his name was David Andrew. And so we certainly offered our condolences. And Cheryl, we didn't get a chance to read this email on the air at the time because it came in literally 2 minutes after we signed off the program. But it says, "Good afternoon. I just heard the beautiful caller," that was Cheryl, "who lost her son, David Andrew. It really struck close to my heart as I have a 10-month-old son named David Andrew. And he was also born in October. Just wanted to say, what a small world. Thank you for your wonderful show and all you do to help people. Sincerely, Laura." So there you go, Cheryl. A little bit of consolation there. Maybe a little God moment for you there with Laura writing it about her 10-month-old son by the same name as the one that years passed away, David Andrew.
Yeah, beautiful. And our friend John is listening today. He's homesick today, but he gets to listen to one of his favorite EWTN radio shows. Thanks, John. Hope you feel better. We'll say a prayer for you today, that you get well, because it's not good to be under the weather. A lot of folks didn't know this because I didn't want to share it just because you guys are so kind. But I would get a lot of emails saying that there's prayers. I actually was battling the flu last week, so if you saw me looking pretty weak on Skype or YouTube, that's because I wasn't feeling well. But now I'm getting better, as you can tell by the energy in my voice.
Yeah, glad to see your. I knew you were under the weather a little bit, but it didn't show, Deb. It really didn't.
Really?
No, you're a consummate professional. Trooper.
I'm a trooper.
Well, who are the troopers today who are going to share with us? We got a couple of open phone lines here as we talk about conflict, peace at any cost, at all cost. I've shared that I am more of I like to be a peacekeeper, typically whatever that might take, although I do have my limits. And Debbie, maybe you can, well, you shared a little bit too about yourself, but what about you, dear listeners? 833-288-3986. How do we avoid, conflict is inevitable. It's going to happen in everybody's lives, in everyone's family, at the workplace. It's going to happen when you're driving your car down the street. It's going to happen in the checkout line at the grocery store. It's going to happen at the gym. How do we tastefully navigate all of the conflict moments in our lives, keep peace, but don't compromise our values? I think that's a very important part of that. So weigh in with this, 833-288-3986.
I like the way you said, how'd you say it? Don't compromise our values?
Don't compromise your values.
Well, we're in a politically correct world, and a lot of people do that just to keep peace, which is not a good thing. Can I go back to you for a second? Because this might help our listeners.
Sure.
Okay. May I put you on the spot for a moment?
Again? Sure.
Did you say again? You said
did I
again.
say that?
Do I do that all the time? Do I do that to you?
No.
I don't want to. Okay.
No, you don't.
Okay, thank you. All right, so going back to your peace at any cost. So you have something that you could debate or even argue about, or there could potentially be some conflict. Let's just say, like with your family, you have a very big family. Okay, what do you say to yourself to stop you from entering into the debate or the argument or the conflict? What do you say to yourself? Because for me, it's like tunnel vision. I just see the end result and I just go for it, which is not a good thing. What do you do? Because I want to learn from you, actually.
Well, I think, first of all, I would say that it probably stems from having a lot of conflict in my family of origin. And I think that may be the case for many of us. If you come from a family where there was a lot of conflict or strife or disagreement or what have you, then that tends to be, at least for me anyway, I think it leads people like myself to want to avoid conflict and to keep the peace no matter what. And if you see a little bit of conflict starting to bubble up, you start to get nervous and anxious and so forth. But I think, Debbie, over the years, I've just grown by the grace of God to a place where, I think, making conflict engagement be your first reaction and the first move that you make can often and almost all the time make things worse. Just kind of escalate the conflict and so forth. So you mentioned, you like to look down the road and see the end of the road, so to speak. I think I try and do the same thing, maybe a little bit differently than you do, in that, I just try and look at this and say, okay, is this gonna advance harmony or peace, or how long is this escalation going to go on if I egg it on? And so, I do stand my ground. I dig my heels in when I think I have to, or if it's necessary. But I always try and say, all right, what's going to be for the good of this overall situation, but also for the good of the other person. And if their position is one that is just blatantly wrong or against the faith or immoral or something, that's one thing. But if it's just kind of a garden variety disagreement, I think that by the grace of God, I have found the peace to be able to say, okay, yeah, no problem. You just we'll just leave it alone for now. So.
You're much more mature than I am.
Well, no, maybe that's my just turning and fleeing from any possible conflict. I don't know. It could be a variety of things, but
right. I think I tend to be very myopic. It's just a bit of short-sightedness. I can't really. I think when I see something that is just so blatantly wrong, I attack it. I don't know. It could be a blessing or it could be a curse. But let's hear from our listeners. We really want to hear from you guys. Don't let us go back and forth just sharing our stories. This isn't our therapy session. This is we're in this together. 833-288-3986. You'll pick up the phone, call Ryan. He'll chat with you for a few minutes. He'll put you on hold. You get to listen live and jump right into the conversation. And you always bless our conversations by your presence.
So if you're like Debbie, if you're ready, fire, aim, then call in 833-288-3986. But also, very, very important here, so many of us will learn from you. If you have a way of kind of diffusing conflict or just saying, maybe even delaying sort of an escalation or an explosion of what could be emotions and feelings, maybe you've got a way of sort of, just calming a situation too. That would be so helpful for so many of us. 833-288-3986.
Can I just say something? Well, you're hilarious. You come out with things and I'm never ready for them. And you always do it when we're on air and I have my mic up. I laughed so hard I pulled my earbuds out of the system and you just crack me up. I'll never forget the times when I have to tell our listeners this because we're all family. When I first was working with Jerry, he can be very serious and very, he's very professional, very serious, but then he'll come out with this an extraordinarily funny comment. And there have been times that I have left radio station studios, just bumbling in tears and laughter. I had to crawl out of there. I was so embarrassed, but I couldn't stop laughing and I couldn't put my mic back up because you're a very funny person. You need to do like a stand-up comedy routine.
Maybe someday. It's sort of my last act. My last act will be a stand-up.
Too funny.
Okay, well,
hey, we have full phone lines.
Yeah. People have responded beautifully. So why don't we get set? We're going to get set to go to your calls here in just a second. Talking about conflict today. How do we avoid conflict? And Debbie, you kind of accentuated in the show topic and description, keeping peace at all costs. Keeping peace at all costs. What was your inspiration for this topic, by the way?
It actually had to do with a family situation that I was really proud of myself. I just kind of held my tongue because the tongue can be dangerous. I actually have another thing that Tony gave us from Texas on the M&M pilgrimage is she gave me this beautiful relic of St. Anthony and it's actually part of his tongue. I never have had anything like that. And you know how I love St. Anthony. Did you ever know about that? That I guess his tongue makes they move it around or whatever.
I
They
didn't
take it to
know that
different
they
places.
had relics of it. I know he was a great preacher, right? Isn't he the one who turned and preached the fish? You know, when the people
Yeah.
in his region did not want to hear the word of God, he just turned toward the sea and said, at least the fish will listen if you won't. Something to that effect.
right.
I may have
That's
just
right.
butchered the story.
No, you
but-
didn't. You were great. But anyway, so I've got this relic here, and so it makes me always think of the power of the tongue. You know, it can be so damaging, and so I think that it inspired me to put this on the calendar again. We have done this several times, this topic, but I think we can all relate to it because I think we're in a world right now where everybody kind of wants to speak their piece, but it's not, sometimes it's not well received. What do you think? I think we're in a crazy world right now where people are very defensive.
Well, defensive, and then you've got so many things now that we didn't have a generation or two ago, especially social media and ways of expressing ourselves. Everybody is sort of a self-made kind of commentator or expert or what have you, and that can rub some people the wrong way. A lot of people like it. We have these the favorite people that we follow on social media and so forth, but yeah, it is a world jam-packed with conflict, and we're going to see what our listeners have to say about this topic.
Okay, where are we going first?
Let's go to Concha in Eberline, Texas, listening on Guadalupe Radio Network. Hi, Concha. Did I get the pronunciation of your name right?
Yes, you did. Yes, you did.
Okay,
Thank you.
Beautiful. Thanks for calling.
Oh, yes, and thank you all for this wonderful, radio. I love it. I have my car, my truck, my house. Everything is on the 91.7, your station. I listen to it all the time. You guys have some real interesting and, a lot of good information. Well, my call today is because I have a sister that she always wants to argue about any little thing. We lost our mom a couple of weeks ago, and my mom has a house, and my oldest sister has moved into it. And so my mom had already told me that house, that my sister could live there until the day she passed, until my sister died, okay? And so anyway, now my little sister wants to sell the house because she wants her part of the money. Well, it's not going to happen. I told her we are not selling that house. I told her what Mom said, and she's just adamant that she's going to get her money from me one way or the other. I said, well, you got a long way, girl. And she always wants to argue about stuff like that. She calls my sister and gives her a hard time about it. And my sister, she's in a real tight budget, so I help her a lot. And my sister will call me and say, well, yeah, you got a lot of money. No, that's not true. You just know how to budget yourself so that you can have a little extra. So if someone needs help, you can jump in there and help them. And I'll just ignore her. I have not called her, and because I don't want to get into it. And she's not Catholic; she's Episcopalian. And we've had the little argument too about. She says they're like Catholic. I'm going, you're not. But anyway, I finally left it alone. I said, okay, whatever.
Okay, so a couple things. First of all, Concha, that we're not counselors or therapists, but we've lived a long life, both of us, and
Right.
we've seen a lot and come from big families, so we get it. But a couple things I wanted to say. First off, I wanted to back up. Thank you for being a first-time caller. We usually ring this virtual bell for you, so pretend like a bell is ringing for you. Okay. And then the other thing we wanted to say is we're so sorry for the loss of your mother. We keep a book for the living and the deceased. If you would be willing to give us her first name, I would just be so honored to enter her into the book. And we're sorry for the loss because, it doesn't matter how old a parent is. When you lose a parent and then you lose the second parent, it's tough. It's very tough. So
It's hard, yes, ma'am. Mm-hmm. Okay, her name is Dora.
Dora. Okay. Thank you so much. Okay. And now back to your family. Real quickly, I got to get some clarification. Are there 3 girls in the family?
It's 4 of us, 4 girls.
4 all girls. And no boys?
No boys.
No boys. And are you the oldest?
No, ma'am, I am the third one.
Okay, so you're the peacemaker. Okay, so
I try.
okay, yeah, and you're saying that the baby of the family is being the one who's stirring the pot?
Yes.
Okay. Well, a couple things. I'm the baby of a big family, and I have been accused of that as well. And I think unfortunately, what happens sometimes is the youngest can be the loudest, and it can be very disruptive. Couple things. Have you thought about possibly going to counseling? All of your sisters together. You can do it virtually. A lot of counselors do it virtually. There's also CatholicCounselors.com. I know you said she's Episcopalian, but that she is Christian, and so have you thought about doing that? Have you thought about even talking to your priest or deacon just on how to navigate that? The other thing too is a lot of times just sitting down with her and just validating her come from can work. Even though you may disagree with it, just ask her, where is this coming from? Where is this deeper need to really disrupt the family and try to get your money ahead of time and all this kind of stuff? Concha, hold on one second, because you're going to hear the music. Jerry's got something to say, and I just want to finish that thought, because I worked in the insurance industry for many years, and I'll tell you what, when people die, we see the worst of people come out, okay? Money brings out the worst in personalities. It just does. It's horrible. I have seen things in insurance offices that I tremble, because it was just terrible what I saw families go after. So hold on, Concha. We're gonna take this little pause. Jerry's gonna comment, and we'll finish up. Maybe we'll give you some good thoughts today that you can move forward with your beautiful family. This is Take Two with Jerry and Debbie. We're talking about peace at any cost. Do you try to keep it? We'll be right back.
Dr. Greg Popcak.
We want listeners to see that God has a unique and unrepeatable plan for their lives and how to rejoice in the work God is doing in their hearts and in their homes.
The leading Catholic voices are on EWTN Radio.
Hi, I'm Doug Keck, and this is an EWTN bookmark brief. I just had the pleasure of speaking with Jesse Romero, author of the book, The Devil in the City of Angels, My Encounters with the Diabolical, published by TAN, available through our EWTN religious catalog. And Jesse, tell us, what's this book about and why'd you write it?
I wrote the book because this is part of divine revelation. It's dogma revealed by God, angels and demons. And the fact is, a lot of Catholics are poorly catechized. They get their information from the preternatural or about the preternatural from television. They live in mortal sin, and the way to remove mortal sin is the sacraments. Right. And the fact of the matter is, a lot of Catholics aren't sacramental Christians at this point in time in the church.
Right, and my job is to protect my family, and so I got to do that.
Bingo.
The Devil in the City of Angels, Jesse Romero, thank you so much, Jesse. And available through our EWTN religious catalog, and of course, look for the entire interview coming soon on the network. This has been a Bookmark Brief. Thank you so much for stopping by.
The wisdom of Mother Angelica.
And we need to pray for all our world leaders and all those who are in such danger. See, in a day and age where people are getting further away from God, you get further away from goodness. Only God is good. You remember what our Lord said one day? Why do you call me good, he said. Only God is good. Only God.
EWTN. Live truth. Live Catholic.
Hi, this is Dr. David Anders. Do you have questions about the Catholic faith? Get the answers on Call to Communion, coming up at 2 p.m. Eastern. Now, back to Take Two with Jerry and Debbie.
And we're glad you're starting your week, at least in part, with Take Two with Jerry and Debbie on EWTN Radio, as we're talking about avoiding conflict, keeping peace today on the program. Full phone lines. We will get to as many of you as we can in the order that you call typically. And we're talking with Concha in Eberline, Texas, listening on Guadalupe Radio. And I can't add a whole lot, Concha, to what Debbie said. She made some good suggestions, possibly getting some group counseling between all of you, you and your three siblings, talking to your pastor. You said your sister's Episcopalian, so maybe bring her pastor into the conversation as well. Just on a practical level, the only things that come to my mind are, it seems that your mother has expressed her wishes. I would assume those are in some way binding, perhaps legally binding in a will or something. So maybe the answer would be to simply live and let live. Let your sister live in the house right now. That may be actually better for her than receiving her slice of the pie, so to speak. I mean, if she has to live in the house versus receiving a portion of the sale. So I don't know if any of that, touches upon your situation or not.
Yes, well, the counseling, and I'm not being ugly, but if anybody needs counseling, it's my little sister, because we have had so many problems with her. When my mom was in the nursing home, my sister and I always volunteered and go help. Well, since my mother had passed away, she said, y'all don't have any business at the nursing home. Yeah, Mom's not there anymore. That's not the point. So many of those little people that are there, no one ever goes to see them. Right. And when we went, we visited with them, take them cookies or whatever, and they enjoyed that, Right. So she just tries to micromanage our life, I guess. I don't know, but I don't know. Like I said, I just ignore her.
Yeah, no, that's true. But let me just share something. I like what Jerry had to say about bringing her pastor in and stuff, and even just going to some kind of just to talk it out, a mediation, because you're all grieving. Okay, you're all grieving, and the other thing too is sometimes people, as obnoxious as they can be, they just want to be heard. They want to be validated in their position, even though it's not the right position. It's not the way that your mother would have wanted it. Just people like to be heard. So I think there's some merit in kind of getting it out on the table and just kind of moving forward. So, but you're a beautiful soul. You have a beautiful family, and again, you guys are grieving. So give yourselves that time to grieve. Everybody grieves differently, and it's a tough thing. And when money's involved in houses and stuff like that, it gets even more complicated. So we'll be praying for your family. Also, maybe pray to Our Lady. Actually, definitely pray to Our Lady, and pray the Memorare, and she'll be watching over your family because she's our spiritual mom. Yep.
Our Lady Undoer of Knots.
That's right.
Okay, Concha, thank you very much for your call. Jane sent a very wise email. Jane, you are full of wisdom and insights, and we appreciate you listening. She says, hi, Jerry and Debbie. In my experience, quote, keeping peace has at least 2 levels, though I am always willing to have an honest discussion one-on-one or in a group about any topic at all, even controversial ones. On the second level, I refuse to let it become a source of negative emotion or take others' words as a personal attack. She says, it does hurt me if people in the group don't have the level-headed discussion skills, and I might want to mention that openly at the beginning, hoping to be disarming. Maybe like Jerry, I might want to get people to laugh or smile about something first. Oh, thank you, Jane.
You do have that funny sense of humor. I love it. Okay, Teresa in Niagara Falls, Ontario, listening on the Station of the Cross. Hi, Teresa, and welcome.
Thank you. Hi, guys. How are you doing?
Hi, Teresa. Good. How are you?
Good. How are you?
Good. Thank you. So I just wanted to mention there's a fine line sometimes between keeping the peace and being cowardly, which I was not too long ago, and then it disturbed my peace to the point I even went to confessions because we had some friends over, great friends in the backyard, and I guess one of the gentlemen had a few pints too many and used God's name in vain in my backyard, and it bothered me. We're in my house, and he said it with passion. And I was quiet because I didn't want to disturb the peace. And then I was a coward, and I thought sometimes we can't stay silent. I should have said something. We're in my house. And I thought of 1,000 things I could have said later. And I know what I will say if it ever happens again. I will say, you know what, Sam, I love you, but I love him more. So please don't trash his name in my house. Mm-hmm. And so that there's a fine line sometimes. You just can't keep the peace at any cost, right? You guys know that, of course.
Right. But don't beat yourself up over that, Teresa, though. I mean, you said you went to confession over it. Don't beat yourself up over that because there, the situation, he was inebriated, it was in your home, I'm sure everybody was having a fun, festive time. And, so I wouldn't beat yourself up over it. I mean, it's great that you now know what to do. I just, for me, Teresa, it happens quite frequently. I don't know why it happens in the circles that I run in, but people will just even casually use the name JC all the time, and I just make the sign of the cross. I do it every time, and then they say to me, "What are you doing?" I said, "Well, that was a prayer you just said. You just don't even realize it." And then they go, "Oh, okay, all right, okay." And so I just, for me, I've unfortunately, I've had to deal with it so often because I worked in the hospitality industry, and unfortunately, every time a glass breaks or a plate falls or something happens, people say the name of Jesus in the wrong way. Yeah, it's very unfortunate. What do you think, Jerry? Have you been around that a lot? Do people say it a lot in your circles?
Not presently so much in my circles. Over the years, yes, absolutely. I was probably one of them for far too long. But yeah, when you hang out in groups of guys on city playgrounds playing pickup basketball games at the Y and other places like that, you're going to hear that. But I think, Teresa, you're a dear soul, and you want to do what is right, and it sounds like that. And I love what you said. I love you, but I love Jesus even more. And so I think you're right. We can kind of shy away from saying or doing the right thing at a certain time because we feel like it's keeping the peace. And I mentioned at the start of the show, we want to approach this in a way that we do not compromise our values. And you obviously have that beautiful value set. So a couple things that came to my mind is, maybe next time you have a gathering like that, don't invite this particular individual, or if you
Right.
think you're going to see him in another context, maybe a non-partying context when he hasn't been drinking, that might be a time to just say, hey, by the way, I know that you had a few beers and you got a little bit rambunctious and so forth, and I appreciate that you want to let your hair down a little bit, but I was offended by a couple of the things you said, and I just wanted to bring that up to you for your consideration, and see if that has any impact on him.
He probably doesn't even remember.
Yeah, he may not remember, and he may not appreciate it, but then you never know. You may have won somebody over by doing it that way. Instead of just blowing up right at the moment that's happening.
I agree.
Maybe, a quiet, private exchange somewhere, and he could go, it gives me something to think about. What do you think, Teresa?
Yeah, I think that's true. And I understand, we can't run around to saying this to everybody, but like that name is so special, Jesus Christ.
Mm-hmm.
It's so special. And he says, if we don't stand up for him, why would he stand up for us? And this is a Catholic going man, and it made it different. You know what I mean? Like He's in Mass every Sunday. Don't talk like that, man. Just don't talk like that around here. I don't know. So, yeah, we can't even go to the movies anymore because of there's no movies you can see. Like I checked the review, and if it says, they use Jesus' name in vain, I'm not going. I'm not willing to do that. So we stay home and we watch other things. But, yeah, thank you for your suggestions, and it's much better definitely to pull them aside than say something in front of others, which would be maybe harsh. I agree.
But Teresa, don't feel bad. Every movie now they try to slip it in. I read it.
I know.
Yeah. They do it at least once, and I think it's a way to keep us all on edge as Christians. It's horrible, but I'll tell you what: just be a bartender someday, or just stand behind or sit at a bar someday at a restaurant, and you hear that flying around like crazy. It's absolutely disgusting. You just wonder why
I can only
people.
imagine.
Yeah. It's horrible.
Sorry. I can only imagine. I'm very sheltered because I'm just with kids all day, but I wouldn't want to work in a place like that.
Oh yeah, it's horrible. I was making the sign of the cross so many times they thought there was something wrong with me, and I just kept doing it until I got so obnoxious that they stopped saying it.
They started to think they were in a convent or something, right?
Yeah, exactly.
All right, Teresa, God bless you and what sounds like a beautiful young family that you have. Thanks for listening to Take Two and for calling in today talking about conflict. It is a part of our lives. How do we avoid it? How do we keep peace? Do we want to keep peace at all costs? 833-288-3986. All right, Donna, thanks for your patience. You got our Virtual Patience Award and our first-time caller bell in Waverly, New York, listening on the Station of the Cross. Hi, Donna.
Hello.
Hello.
My name is Donna, and I do have a conflict, and I appreciate the ability to be able to talk about it. I really haven't. I have 3 boys, and my middle boy, and we talk about TV, and I hear you talking about things like that, but, they show kids to grab cars with skateboards and to do fancy things with bicycles. My middle boy grabbed a motor vehicle of a babysitter's friend, and they went out onto the main road. And instead of letting go, and instead of her saying, let go of my car, I'm going to work, she sped up to 55 miles an hour. And he was holding onto the window. It was July on the passenger side, and he flew off. And I'm not going to cry right now, but he had a horrible head injury and broken ribs and broken arms. And he was in the hospital for a year, but he never really told me what happened until he came home with the doctor. And then I found out I had a conflict because he told the doctor's nurse who and how it happened. I never knew. The lady had 3 little children, and I had to fight with my conscience. Do I say something and should justice prevail, or should I let God's peace in my heart rule? And I I listened for the Lord to speak and spoke through my son by saying, Mom, I'm here with you, and please don't say anything about this. And he's 16. My husband's home with him 24 hours a day. He doesn't go to school because he can't do that anymore. The local school can't do it. But the Lord has given me peace. He will graduate under a special way that the schools can do that. And I just want to let anybody out there that knows that there's something in their heart that hurts so bad. You don't know which way to go, and your heart goes one way and your mind goes the other. Just pray, and the Lord will comfort, and He has. And my son did not die. And he's home with my husband and I, and that's a blessing, and that's all I really wanted to say.
Donna,
the Lord will give us the peace to continue.
Right, absolutely. Donna, we are so sorry that you had to go through that. Your son had to go through that. This other driver had to go through that, and now you're living with the consequences of this. But Donna, as you were talking, my heart kept saying it, just kept saying it over and over again. Say this to Donna, say this to Donna. Let your pain turn into your purpose. Let your pain turn into your purpose, Donna. You know, there are so many teenagers and kids out there doing just things that they're not thinking down the road. So many things. Look at this vaping that's happening right now. I mean, everybody's doing it because everybody's doing it. And we know that it's causing lung damage, but people are still doing it. You have a really a situation that you're living with on a daily basis that you could impart your story on a regular basis, okay, to help others, to teach their children. Please don't think down the road. Think 7 steps down the road. My heart goes out to you. I know that the Take Two family will join all of us in praying for your entire family and also for this other driver, because I could just only imagine the guilt that they're feeling. Do you know how they're doing emotionally from this? I mean, it's because they obviously know the outcome, right?
Well, they do. They do. They stood by us the whole time he was in the hospital for over a year.
Wow.
They were just very kind. It was the babysitter's best friend.
Oh my goodness.
It was a thing. It just happened.
Right.
It just happened. And I thank God all that keep going back, because so many people have lost their children. So many people lose their children in accidents in motor vehicles every day. And the Lord blessed us by not allowing his life to leave him.
Yes. Yeah, because he has a purpose to help others. To help others, Donna. There's others right now that are there's teenagers right now doing all sorts of crazy things with aerosol cans and all sorts of stuff that is so dangerous. And they need to know that there could be a tragic outcome to it. What do you think, Jerry?
Yeah, I'm just, my heart is broken over this too, Donna. So sorry for your son, for you, for your family. I mean, this doesn't just impact your son, it impacts your entire family. Like you said, he is unable to go to school. Your husband is home with him 24 hours a day. I think a couple of beautiful things that I see in this, in spite of the fact that, as Debbie pointed out, young people are really, really, really in a bad place today, because they're the influences that are being they're being bombarded with, these challenges, these dares, this dare to go, to press envelopes, to go to the limit, to go to the extremes. Everything is extreme. And that sounds like this is what your son was engaged in, even though they thought it was maybe just, kind of a fun thing to do. But they do this, they provide these challenges to one another. So I think a beautiful part of this is the Christ-like way that your son and you and your husband have dealt with this. And you said the driver and her family, they have been close and stayed by his side. So there's that beautiful part of it right there. And as Debbie said, imagine, the driver has to deal with this for the rest of her life. Thank God your son wasn't killed for your sake and for his sake, but also for that driver's sake. So I think your loving approach to this could really unleash a lot of blessings of healing in your life, in your son, and certainly for these other people involved. So it's a sad, tragic situation, and we can just pray that God is glorified in this somehow, Donna, and that he continues to bring healing and good out of it.
Mm-hmm. It could be a message for others. What do you think, Donna?
Receive that healing. I receive that for him and myself and our family. Thank you.
You're a beautiful soul, Donna. And please, you and your husband, we're going to pray that you guys have the strength and endurance to keep up with taking care of your son. I think it's just a beautiful thing. And that's what family can do and should do. And it sounds like you have a very, very strong family. So thank you, Donna, for sharing your story today. We appreciate it. And prayers are already coming in by text message for your family, Donna. So the Take Two family is stepping up and praying for you guys.
When we mention the influences on young people and really on all of us right now, Debbie, and I just want to mention to everyone who's listening, the National Catholic Register is a weekly newspaper published by EWTN. So you know it is rock solid from the front page to the back. It is regional news, it is national news, it is international news. And right now, folks, you can get this news through a Catholic lens in print once a week, 6 free issues. Just go to ncregister.com. You're going to love what you see, and in the unlikely event that you don't, you can just simply say, I got my 6 free issues. That's all I want. Thank you. And it's the end of the story. But I think you're going to like it. So go to ncregister.com for EWTN's National Catholic Register.
Okay, Brandon is up next in Louisiana, listening on the EWTN app. First-time caller. Hi, Brandon. Welcome.
Hello. Thank you for taking my call.
Sure.
My heart goes out to the last caller. I just wanted to say, wanted to mention how I deal with conflict now, because the Brandon back then would just fly off the handle and say things he would regret. But Brandon now deals with it much differently. Recently, I made a consecration to the Blessed Mother, and now I try to see things and feel things through her heart instead of mine, because she is our Blessed Mother. And if I find myself in a conflict and I'm getting angry or whatnot, I'll just say prayers to the Blessed Mother, like the Hail Mary or the prayer of St. John Bosco to the Immaculate Conception. And then eventually I'll feel much better because she's our helper. She's there to help all her children.
Well, you're absolutely correct. And I just wanted to ask you, Brandon, I know you're a first-time caller, but you probably have listened to the show before. Are you a follower? Do you know of some of the messages and videos of Father Donald Calloway?
I've heard the name, but I'm not familiar with any of his audio or video.
Okay, please look him up on YouTube and different talks, because you sound just like him. I think you two share a very similar background, maybe, and your spiritual path seems very similar. I think he would be a great person for you to get to know. And if you want to get to know him, actually next month in October, we're going to be having a free webinar, and he's going to be our guest. So we're very excited about it. So check in October, Brandon, at jerryanddebbie.com, jerryanddebbie.com. This Tuesday, we have a Vera Maria Santo talking about same-sex attraction, and you can register there for everybody as well. But also next month is Father Donald Calloway. Brandon, I think you would love it, because I couldn't agree with you more. Consecration to the Blessed Mother, it's the way to go. What do you think, Jer?
Yeah, well, I love the fact that, Brandon, you talked about, you were at a certain place before in your life, like so many of us were. I could say, I call it my BC days, my before Christ days, even though I was baptized as an infant, before I really came to know Jesus and walk with him in my life. I think we all have that period or that phase that we can potentially go through, but you have matured a great deal. And then bringing our Blessed Mother into this, making that consecration, that's a conscious thing that we go through. We don't just blurt out a few words and the consecration is done. Typically, it's done over a period of 30 days, 33 days, maybe even longer. So there's all that time to build up to prayer, to get to know Mary, to get to fall in love with Mary, and then just to realize that everything we do, every word, every action, every deed, she is right by our side after that. And who would want to offend her by doing some of the things that we used to do? So, Brandon, I know you thank God for this development, these maturities and developments in your life, but you sound like a really virtuous young man now with a very, very God-given purpose and a strong future.
I totally agree.
Thank you.
Oh, you're very welcome.
Yeah, you're awesome, Brandon. Now you're not a first-time caller anymore, so call anytime, okay?
Right. Thank you.
Yep.
Thank you.
You only get the first time bell once, folks. After
That's
that,
right.
it's, well, sorry, no bell. If
No
you've called a
bell
second
after
time.
that.
Okay, Pat, hold on. We're going to try to get to you. Veronica got in just slightly before you did in Canoga Park, California, listening on the Ave Maria radio app. Hi, Veronica. Welcome to Take Two.
Yes, good morning. I have a question. Not a question, but when you both were speaking about the conflicts with the family, for me, I've accepted the fact that I just had a very strong conversion for the past 12 years, and I'm just going to be that person in the family who is avoided, and I accepted it, and, and it's fine. My nickname is, behind my back, is Mother Teresa, and I find it it's not an insult, but more of a compliment. I'm okay with that. But where I have an issue is that in my community, in my prayer group, that's where the conflict really is for me. Because I'm a strong pro-lifer, NFP user, and trying to really stick to the doctrine and listening to all the EWTN radios and getting all the teachings and just, trying to do what's right, I would say. So I'm kind of like a conflict walking. I'm in Southern California, and I have 5 children back to back. So even when I don't want to have conflict, when it comes to my lifestyle, conflict comes to me. A lot of people want to question me, and when I'm in the street, I understand, but when I'm inside my church and my community, that's where it's like very tough for me to hold my tongue. And I heard a previous caller saying, or I think you said, that we can't compromise our morals. So am I wrong, or I'm not really sure, like I'm lost as to really how to not feel bad about, answering what the truth about doctrine. And what do I do? I'm very lost.
I got something after you, Jerry.
Okay. Well, Debbie has something. I'm just going to offer a couple quick thoughts here, Veronica. I've been in similar situations. Actually, I spent a year each in 2 different seminaries. And I can tell you that there were differences, there were conflicts. A lot of them were just a matter of personal taste, different spiritualities and so forth. But some of them actually, got into the area of doctrine and teaching and so forth. I would just simply say this. Prayer is kind of an all-encompassing thing. People can believe a lot of different things, but prayer is attractive to them. So when you hear a prayer group, people of a lot of different beliefs and persuasions and levels of orthodoxy and so forth can be attracted to this. So it's not really that surprising that you're experiencing this in your parish. If you find that it gets to be a bit too much, Veronica, and people are denying beliefs of the faith or challenging you because of what you believe, maybe it's time to find a different prayer group, or maybe I don't know if talking to the pastor would work, because he's going to say, well, it's just a prayer group. It's not anything official. I don't know what a pastor would say, but Debbie, I think it may be time to find a different prayer group. I'm not suggesting that. I'm just saying that might be an option, Veronica, as you look at this and kind of go through this particular situation. What do you think, Deb?
Well, absolutely. Veronica, and what Jerry said is so true. Prayer brings people together. Everybody has different thoughts about prayer, the conversation with God, talking to God. This is how they relate to God, and so on and so forth. It doesn't actually mean they share the same tenets of the faith or same beliefs in the faith. Same thing with angels, believe it or not. Angels is across the board on many denominations, and a lot of people have different versions of angels that are different from the Catholic Church's teaching. Here's what I would do. I know that some people would say, Veronica, you need to stay in that group so you can help that group and catechize and evangelize to that group. And then, like Jerry said, maybe it becomes too toxic and you have to step away. What I would do, Veronica, is the same thing I used to tell my catechists all the time. Okay, I was a religious education director for many years, and the catechists used to say, man, people are just coming at us. They're just attacking us. Don't shoot the messenger. We're just teaching what the church teaches. And I said, well, then say that. Take it off of you. Don't say, well, this is what we believe. Say, this is what the church teaches. Start every sentence with, this is what the church teaches. Take it off of Veronica. Don't make it personal, Veronica, because what happens is then they'll start attacking you instead of really what the truth is. How does that work for you real quickly, Veronica? You hear the music. What do you think?
I think it's great, but I guess the conflict is that the leaders of my group are actually my parents, so that's when it becomes a fight within the family. But I really like what you said, and that's what we do, but I just wanted to know what other suggestions you would have.
Yeah.
No, cool. We'll certainly keep you in our prayers, Veronica, and all the people in your prayer group, your parents as well. Another beautiful program, folks. You took it and ran with it. Tomorrow, what really frustrates you? What gets under your skin? Nobody's going to have anything to say about that, Debbie.
I have a lot. I have like 2 pages.
Until tomorrow.
Until tomorrow, have a beautiful and blessed day. See you real soon.
You've heard of the incredible shrinking man? This is Dr. Ray Gurendi. I am the incredible manly shrink. The doctor is in next.